Welcome to IYKYK Cake Decorating Tips. My name is Angela and I work at the Merrimack Public Library, and today I'm going to share a few different cake decorating tips with you. So first you want to make sure that your cakes are completely cool. I've made some funfetti and I've also bought a can of frosting that comes with sprinkles to work on the first one. The second one uses some icing inside tubes to create this nice flower and star motif. It also uses some tips that will screw onto those tubes. The third cupcake is used a pouch to make all of the decorating, as well as a Ziploc bag. Finally, the last cupcake uses the can of frosting, a cookie cutter, and some colored sugar. So for the first cupcake, we're going to use the can of frosting, a knife, the sprinkles, and a shallow dish. You want to make sure you have all your supplies ready so that you've got everything that you need to move forward. I've already washed my hands because that's always a good choice before making something for someone else. I'm going to heap some yummy, yummy frosting onto it and give it a nice smooth. It's one of those things that you learn over time how to get a good edge. I like a knife that doesn't have any serrations on it, a nice butter knife. You can use a spatula if you have all those tools for you. So I'm just gonna smooth it out nice and even. And I want a little bit of height for this one because of all the sprinkles. So in the dish, you wanna gently pat your sprinkles into the cupcake. You're going to be very tempted to stick your fingers in there and just lick all the frosting off, but resist. We're making these for others and we don't want to get Grandma Mary sick. So, this is the first cupcake. For the second cupcake, we're going to use some icing. Each one of these icing tubes that you can buy at the store comes with an available tip set. So for Cake Mate, these are a much smaller threaded area. It won't fit on the Wilton icing. The Wilton icing comes with a whole set. I happen to still have the package for it, and it shows how I'm using the star tip, comes with a straight writing tip, a leaf tip, and a ribbon or petal tip. This little piece that sometimes feels like it's extra is actually to make roses on top of it. Very, very difficult to do and something to practice, but I'm not good enough to show you how to do that one. So I also keep a paper towel just in case to start how the writing comes out. If it's a little bit difficult, you can knead the tube to make sure everything's ready to go. The technique that I'm using for this is something that I commonly use with the cake pans at the library. Those are molded pans that either have characters or objects or animals, and you'll have lines to follow. So for this particular one, I'm going to draw a flower like my demonstration had it. You want to have an even pressure. Sometimes there's a break, and that's okay. We'll fill it in later. So once you've gotten your outline in, you can go ahead and fill with as much lines as you like. Sometimes they're bigger than others. Once I've completed this, I'm going to go back with the white and fill in the background. Most cake pans are done with just stars, but this particular icing isn't really interested in having a star tip on it. So there's my flower. And then I'll take my star tip on the white icing, start it on another spot. I'm going to go right in between pressure and pull off. You want to try to avoid doing straight lines. Straight lines, you'll be able to see more where you filled in. So you want to go on like a zigzagging diagonal. Gives it a nice texture. when I do the cake pans, they can take a couple of hours because it's a lot of tiny little stars. So after a little bit of time, it will come out and look like this. For the third cupcake, we're gonna go back to our can of frosting. We're gonna have a Ziploc bag and the blue decorating icing that's inside the pouch. So a nice way to pipe things out if you don't have a pastry bag is to use a Ziploc bag. I turn them inside out so that I don't get frosting all on the outside. Again, another temptation to lick all of the icing, but resist as much as you can. So you're gonna add some frosting into the bag and then use a pair of scissors to snip off the end once you've gotten it all in the bag. Give it a nice little twist, and this one's ready. I put a little heap in the center of this particular cupcake just because I wanted a little height for the blue stars to sit on. So I'm gonna add a nice glob of icing inside there. And then I used just a swirling technique. So in the palm of your hand, pinch off your Ziploc bag and then squeeze with your thumb and forefinger. And I'm just going to swirl, swirl, swirl. This can be used also with a piping bag, and a star tip gives a very nice look to it. Just giving it a little bit of interest around and around and around and around. And then I'm going to add, so these pouches, this particular one comes with two different tips. There is a straight writing tip, and then if you unscrew that part, there's a star tip. That's the one that we're going to use just to add a little bit more interest to our cupcake with just some random stars. Again, push and release, push, release, push, release. Just for some extra color, a little bit more pizzazz. If you're feeling adventurous, you could take this star tip and do the same swirling motion as we did with the Ziploc bag and get a nice wreath. If this was a very large cake, you could fill this as an edge and then write happy birthday or anniversary or some kind of message to the person you've made it for. Finally, we're going to use our cupcakes, some colored sugar, and a cookie cutter. So once more, into the frosting can we go. If you want to save the frosting, if somehow some of it lasts and you have leftovers, you can put it inside the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. You might want to bring it up to room temperature before you try to spread it out and give it a good stir, because it'll be hard to work with. So smoothing out, nice amount of frosting, and I'm going to take my cookie cutter and place it so that it's in the icing, and just the tip of the spoon is one of the hardest parts because you can overspill very easily. And gently adding some colored sugar so that it covers as much as we've got. Sometimes I'll give it a little bit of a tap, 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 tap to make sure that it covers. And then, oh, so very gently, I'm going to get rid of the extra sugar. Pull out my cookie cutter, and I have a heart. If you like to be a little extra, you can take a toothpick and kind of arrange where there might have been a little bit of a gap, or if there's some stray pieces of sugar. And there you have it. 4 tips for decorating cupcakes, easy enough for any teen to do. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment below or contact the library and we'd be happy to help you. Happy baking, and don't forget to wash your hands.